Is League of Legends really dying? Oh god. Okay, first off, I honestly don't really want to make this video, mainly because it's kind of a gloomy topic and I'm not a fan of negativity. Also, I never thought I'd actually need to make this specific video, mostly because I never thought the game was actually dying. Sure, Riot have made their fair share of mistakes in the past, some big mistakes, but I never thought they were bad enough to the point it actually threatened the existence of the game. Until now. Anyways, feel free to sit back and relax because this is going to be a long one, and welcome to League of Legends 2023. Let's get into things. Now, I know I'm a bit late to the party here as multiple content creators have already made videos about this topic, and if you haven't already seen them yet, you should go check them out. But like them, I actually originally was going to post a similar video right after I saw the new 2023 cinematic, or more specifically, lack of a cinematic. However, because some of the other content creators also had the same idea and got the videos out ridiculously fast, I decided to instead hold off a bit, take a breather, and just observe things for the next few days, which I'm glad I did because a lot has changed since then. Anyways, I want to go over as much as possible in detail on the state of League of Legends, go over some of the new updates, and give some of my thoughts on the whole situation as well. To start, I want to be as transparent as possible, so let's start off with the actual numbers and statistics. Currently on paper, League of Legends is not dying by any means. Average monthly players is about the same it's been and really hasn't changed much, and the pro scene viewership was significantly up at Worlds. So if viewership is up and the player base is normal, then what's the problem? Well, to start, Worlds viewership in my opinion was a complete anomaly. The only reason viewership was up this year was because of the incredible games that took place and the storybook backstory behind it. Without the story of Deft and Faker and without so many incredible matches, viewership, at least in my opinion, would have been significantly lower than normal. Basically, everything that could have happened to make Worlds as exciting as possible happened just by chance, and it's not something that should be banked on happening every year. I mean, honestly, what would 2022 have looked like for League if nothing exciting were to have happened at Worlds? As far as the player base goes, yes, they seem fine now, but there's no way things stay that way with the direction we're headed in now. Because honestly, we've kind of put up with a lot of stuff these last few years. This last year especially. Believe it or not, and this may come as a shock to you, League players are abnormally stubborn, and by that I mean we have a pretty big threshold on what it takes for us to quit this game, which is good for Riot. It's actually great for Riot, but it doesn't mean that threshold is unlimited. And recently, it seems like they've been constantly poking us with a stick, seeing how far we can be pushed. I mean, this last year we received no new game modes. Riot basically encouraged players to only grind rank. Riot released over 140 skins for a money grab. No new maps were released, not that we were super hopeful in the first place. Almost no new lore was released. Riot changed LCS times to a time that was inconvenient for almost everyone and prioritized Valorant instead, which in their defense they did recently change, so that was good on them. But bots were being used at an all-time high. People were cheating in rank, people were gambling in rank, and to wrap it all up, at the start of the 2023 season, they released a knockoff version of the introduction to Avatar: The Last Airbender as the cinematic.
Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. But I believe Aang can save the world.
It honestly works a little too well. Now, the cinematic being doo-doo may not seem like a big deal, and it really isn't in the long run, but it definitely was the perfect catalyst to throw the entire League of Legends community over the edge. After enduring an entire year of feeling like Riot just didn't care anymore, they essentially confirmed this fact by dropping the ball on something we all thought was immune from the corruption. I mean, the joke for years in the League community has always been, well, it kind of sucks Riot did X, Y, or Z, but at least their animations never disappoint. And unfortunately, here we are in 2023 where even that's no longer the case. Now, I just gotta say that it takes effort to kill a game this big. Even if Riot drops the ball on a few things, people will still play the game because we like the game, and even if we say we hate it, it's still fun and we're addicted. Hell, even if multiple issues pop up at the same time, we'll complain about it, but we'll still probably suck it up and keep playing anyways. However, what's different about this time around is that it felt like someone at Riot was actively trying to kill the game. I just logically can't think of any other explanation for it. Now, to touch on some of my points above, over 140 skins is a lot of skins, and for perspective, they earn an estimated $10 million per skin every year. It's a pretty good little chunk of change, and honestly, the fact they released so many doesn't really bug me. It's more the fact that they seem to pour the majority of their resources into mainly making new skins for a money grab while seemingly using none of that money to improve League elsewhere. Now, obviously, I don't know the actual numbers and where exactly funds are being allocated, but what I do know is that League hasn't received any fun updates in years. On top of that, it just seems that Riot's investing way more time and money into their newer games like Valorant or Wild Rift, or even some of their other upcoming projects, which is great. I'm honestly happy they're expanding so much, and I'm actually really excited for everything they got in store for us, but it shouldn't come at the cost of neglecting the League community completely. I mean, in their latest response video, they even confirmed that this had been the case, saying they turned the League game modes team into the TFT team.
League used to have a game modes team, and I think a pretty good one. And we ended up using that team as the foundation for the development of Teamfight Tactics and the ongoing development of it. That was great for Teamfight Tactics as an experience, but at a cost to League.
And this honestly makes so much more sense now, because the launch of TFT really was about the time we started seeing a huge drop off in new game modes. Anyways, it just sucks that this decision was made, because when you think about it, we as the League community are kind of the reason they're able to do all of this in the first place. Now, my main issue with all of this is that Riot just doesn't seem to care anymore, and it sucks. Take the winter map, for example. This is something the League community has been wanting back for years now, and their first excuse for them not doing this was they wanted to focus on more immersive environments that players got to experience for longer periods of time, like Nexus splits, which first of all, I gotta be honest, I think that in itself is kind of a poor excuse, and there shouldn't be any reason they couldn't just do both. But even if we did humor this idea of them just focusing on Nexus splits, they eventually just dropped the whole game mode anyways. And as far as their second excuse goes, I kid you not, this is what they said. When asked why they couldn't just reuse the winter map from previous years, their excuse was, and I quote, "It would take some time." Yes, they literally said that, and not only that, but they also even admitted that it's not technically challenging to do, but they just didn't want to take some time to do it. It's honestly stuff like this that's most frustrating, and it makes it hard to continue believing in a company that doesn't care enough to make admittedly small changes like this, not for profit, not for money, but for the community. Now, some of you may not know this because a lot of people who play today are actually newer to the game, but years ago, Riot used to actually add in tons of fun events, Easter eggs, and game modes before. I mean, hell, they'd even do special events for the Winter Olympics. And while I know times have definitely changed since then, and the community has grown substantially, small acts like adding a winter map or adding a fun game mode every so often would go a long way. What's crazy is that all of the points above are just touching the surface of things that are wrong with League right now. I mean, take the start of the 2023 season, for instance. No one even knew exactly when the new season was starting, and in order to figure it out, you literally had to go to one of the Rioters' Twitter pages to find out. I mean, their Instagram story page had a countdown, but even then, I'm pretty sure their timer was actually a day early. And even then, once the season did start, it was pretty freaking underwhelming. It was like that same feeling you get when counting down to the new year in anticipation, only to realize that once the clock actually strikes midnight, nothing actually changes. But screw that, this isn't New Year's, this is League of Legends. Where the f is my Fortnite Marshmallow concert? Or whatever artist they feature these days. But seriously, there was literally nothing special with the transition from the preseason to the new season. No big event, no huge update, and now not even a cinematic. And at least for me, this is the first time in a long time that I really felt like the game just felt boring. Anyways, fast forward a few days after the cinematic, and we got a response from Riot about both the cinematic and the state of League of Legends. So let's talk about it. To summarize the response to the cinematic, it sounds like they were originally actually planning on releasing a normal champion cinematic with Aatrox starring in it. But they said, and I quote, "There are some unprecedented circumstances that had us choose an alternative approach to the season 2023 video." Now, what that issue was specifically was never specified, which is honestly a little bit suspicious. Riot Medler did post this comment on Reddit saying it was planned, scripted, and even partway through development, but again wasn't able to give the reasoning behind why they didn't go through with it. While I want to believe the reason was due to something completely out of their control, it's hard because the reasoning could also easily be that they wanted to save funding for a different project. Either way, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here and assume it was for a fair reason. And if that's the case, all Riot had to do was just communicate this to us from the beginning, and the League community would have been a lot more understanding, which even Riot themselves agreed with. Now let's talk about their response video. I have mixed feelings with this. First off, I do want to commend them for stepping up and finally taking some responsibility. I mean, this is the first time in a long time where they seem to actually do that. Now, with that being said, I have some concerns with this as well. It could just be me, but I just can't brush off the feeling that they seem to be more sorry the community has finally cracked rather than sorry for neglecting the community all these years. It gives off a bit of "I'm sorry for getting caught" vibes rather than "sorry for actually ignoring you." Like, why are they suddenly addressing all of these unrelated issues now, and coincidentally when the community just got pushed over the edge with the lack of the cinematic? Why weren't we getting some of these videos or changes 4 years ago? I honestly theorize that this new 2v2v2v2 game mode they announced wasn't even in discussion until this whole debacle with the cinematic happened. And it's hard not to assume that this is just being used as a deterrent to help cool things down. That, or at the very least, the priority of adding in the game mode got significantly bumped up when they realized how upset the community really was. Another reason I think this was a last-ditch effort was because otherwise, why wouldn't you highlight this in your preseason announcements? Or at least hype it up in some way for the new season? Like, this is a big deal. Riot hasn't released a new game mode for years, and they've clearly been aware that people weren't happy with the lack of effort, so even a small mention at the start of the year would have gotten people extremely hyped. In other words, that's why I don't think they were originally rolling this out, at least this year. Now, don't get me wrong, I am extremely grateful and happy Riot is in fact adding in a new game mode for us to play. I think it sounds sick, and I'll definitely be trying this out when it's released, but that doesn't hide the fact that we as a community needed to get this upset for changes to really happen. We shouldn't have to wait years and have a significant catalyst for us to be heard. Now, in their defense, even if it was being used as a method of cooling down the community, I understand that they they had to start somewhere. So I don't want to criticize their actions too much because again, I'm extremely grateful they're taking this step forward. I just think it's still important to shine light on the subject. And hey, I could be wrong about all of this, and for all I know, they were planning on implementing this game mode for months already. But even if that is the case, they really should probably look into improving their communication at the start of the year. People honestly would have received this news so well and probably would have cooled things down a lot in itself. At the very least, it would have shown that Riot cares a bit. Speaking of communication, in their video, they also mentioned how they wanted to improve that too, whether it be with videos, blogs, or whatever it may be. Personally, I think both are great ideas. It would be awesome if we had weekly videos or even monthly videos like this talking about upcoming changes, updates, or even just the direction they're planning on heading. Just maybe we actually talk about new upcoming things rather than stuff we've already known about for months now. Anyways, this idea would give an opportunity for the community to give feedback on what they may or may not like about their future plans, or just give suggestions. They also mentioned that they're working on changes to their technology, which is actually pretty great to hear. I don't know much about game design and coding, but I do know enough to understand that League of Legends was built on the ultimate spaghetti code, and sometimes it can just suck to update and redesign things because of that. Mostly because the game is so old and they've just been adding pieces to it instead of actually redoing it. If they actually took the time to properly redesign some of their technology, this could be a game changer, and I feel like we could easily see more frequent and better updates come out of it. Now, in the comments of the Twitter post, we also learned that 2024 will be confirmed to have a champion-led cinematic, which is really great to hear, and honestly not just good for us, but them too. One, people will actually be happy, but also this thing has the potential to bring in thousands of new players. The 2022 cinematic received 144 million views on YouTube. That is a lot of potential people signing up to play League. Anyways, even though I gave some pretty harsh feedback, I really do want to emphasize once again that I think it's great they made this video, and it does start to show that they care a bit more. In the end of their video, they even mentioned how they're planning on finally listening to the community. However, we've also heard broken promises like these before, so it's definitely a trust that will need to be earned back from the community over time. With that being said, there are still a lot of unanswered questions, like what about lore? What about stories? What about dealing with bots or even cheaters? I mean, the list kind of goes on, but nevertheless, it's a good first start and a good first step in the right direction. Change has to start somewhere, so I'm going to put my faith in them and hope that the beginning to change is now. Now, before the video ends, I do actually want to try to help give some positive feedback on what I think could actually improve things instead of just complaining about things the whole time. I really think we need a PvE game mode. Odyssey, for instance, was actually so freaking fun, and I believe Necra even mentioned this in one of his videos as well. If they just adjusted it a bit to make it more repeatable, it would be amazing. Other game modes are obviously encouraged as well. On top of that, it'd be really cool if we could have customizable Summoner's Rift maps that we could use kind of like TFT. Plus, they'd be able to make money off of it, so it's kind of a win-win for everyone. Honestly, if we could just have some options to make the game feel less sweaty and try hard, I think the community would greatly appreciate it. On a separate note, another way we could improve communication like we talked about earlier is through content creators, specifically with the League Partner Program. I understand that the League community is massive and it's literally impossible to hear feedback from everyone, but we as content creators can help be those bridges of communication. If you're familiar at all with the program, they do of course have some fun perks like the ability to give skins and unlock skins and whatnot, which I'm not gonna lie would be really cool, especially because a lot of the time I need a specific skin for a video. But the thing I'm really interested in is the dev access and early access previews. It provides the opportunity to help give useful feedback to Riot. The problem is that the League Partner Program hasn't been reopened for years, even though they specifically said they would reopen it in the first half of 2022. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I would love to be a part of something like this and help give my insight and feedback, and I'm definitely willing if Riot offered me the luxury. But the reality is there are a number of content creators that have popped up these last few years that are equally and more deserving than myself to be a part of this program that could really help benefit the community. So I'm not just speaking on behalf of myself, but all League of Legends content creators. And honestly, no hate to some of the current League partners, but the list is so old that some of them don't even play League anymore, and some aren't even making content now. I'm not saying anyone should be removed, but it would be nice if we could update the list a little. Also, let's be honest, it'd be pretty cool to be able to hand you guys free skins. Anyways, with that being said, I do want to mention even throughout their mistakes, Riot has still done a lot of good work this year. The chat restriction system is a lot better. Games are honestly way less toxic in my opinion, and it's really great to see. The durability update was really good for the game. Smurfs have seemed to gone down a bit. The AFK system is good, but still needs a bit of work because when I wait in lane for minions, I still get a warning. But overall, a lot of good has been done this year too. It is also extremely important to mention that a strong majority of the rioters and Riot employees have nothing to do with the mistakes made, and the majority of problems lie completely at the top. Almost all of them are just as upset as you and I about this whole situation. And I know recently a few of them have even been receiving death threats because of everything that's happened. Honestly, that's just fucked up. Even if they are responsible, which again, the majority of them aren't, making death threats is just ridiculous. Like, if you're gonna do that, you need to really look in a mirror and grow up a little. Just understand that most of the rioters out there don't deserve the hate they're getting right now, and those who are responsible deserve a more humane approach than death threats. On that note, I have to emphasize once again that I honestly hate making these types of videos because I just don't like to be negative, and I literally spent all week going back and forth on deciding whether or not I should post this in the first place. But in a way, I really do feel obligated to do so since you've all given me this platform and voice. And honestly, I'm happy to do it in that case. I do want to clarify though that this video is not meant to be hateful in any way. It's just more of a passionate response to hopefully help the future of League of Legends because I actually care about this game and hope to see it continue to succeed. Anyways, hopefully 2022 was just an economy round and League will really take off in 2023. And hopefully this video will reach some of the rioters higher up too. I gotta say, after their feedback and response, I'm actually excited for 2023 again, so hopefully Riot will live up to their promises and expectations. It seems we as a community ironically seem to have made our mark, not in the way Riot probably intended, but definitely for the better. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share this to a rioter if you know them, and I'll see you next time. Bye. As always, a huge shout out to my tier 3 patrons, Stefan, Noctec, and James. A huge shout out to Setrai for being a tier 4 patron and also my first member. Holy crap. And thank you so freaking much to all my other incredible patrons as well.